to this big red square and how this relates to the story. The big red square says blind spot. The blind spot part of your personality is the dangerous part of your personality, because this is what is actually known to other people and it is not known to you. Think about that for a moment. There's things about you that you don't yet know about yourself, but other people do. That's what's in your blind spot. And that's what happened that day when I got that feedback from my graduate school group, is that everybody in the room knew that there was this really key part of my personality about how I was talkative. And it was something I had not accepted or not known about myself. I wouldn't have described myself that way, and yet everybody else in the group was describing me that way. So that hit a blind spot. I remember when I first learned to drive, not sure if you had this experience, but when I was just 15, had my learner's permit, I was growing up in the Washington, D.C. suburbs, arguably some of the worst traffic in the country. Feel free to argue with me and tell me where the worst traffic is that you've lived. The Washington, D.C. suburbs definitely always are top in the list for bad traffic. My dad would ride with me on my way to school and allow me to practice my driving. So I was driving along this highway trying to get towards school, and I put on my blinker, I try to move into the left lane, and suddenly I just hear horns and screeching sound, and I freak out. My dad actually grabbed the wheel and pulled me back into the right lane. And that, friends, is how I learned the concept of a car's blind spot. My dad was remarkably still under control in this situation, and he stayed calm, and he said, that happens when you have a car in your blind spot. There's actually an area of the car and of the mirror that is still not visible. And smart man that he is, we immediately went to AutoZone and we got what's called a blind spot mirror, and we put it on the car. And I didn't have that problem again. Just like in a car, when you hit a blind spot, or when something's in your blind spot and suddenly you're running right into it, it can be dangerous. This is why giving someone feedback is so hit or miss, because you don't know if what you're giving them feedback on is something that's in the arena section of their personality, where they're already aware of it, or if you just happen to be the first person to tell them about something that is in their blind spot. So an important thing to know about, and why not to maybe take it as personally if someone overreacts or reacts poorly when you give them feedback, because you may be the first one who's revealed something in their blind spot. And it wasn't you, it was just that you happened to hit on that. And anyone who's having that experience could react poorly.